3 years into our marriage, she slapped me in the middle of a board meeting for the man she'd never gotten over. She said, "Ju-yan, give him the company. You don't deserve it." I smiled. No tears, no outbursts, no flipping the table. I signed the equity transfer agreement quietly, and pushed the company seal across the table toward him. Everyone thought I'd caved. But they had no idea. On the books of that company sat an 80-million yuan black hole. My hand shook as I signed. Not out of anger. Out of fear she'd change her mind. When Su Jinyao walked into the conference room, every senior executive stood up. Not out of respect, but because there was a man walking right behind her. Cheng Yu-wei, her college sweetheart, the so-called most perfect what-if. They said he was a brilliant returnee financier, sharp and ruthless. I sat in the chairman's seat, my coffee still steaming. For a split second, when I saw them walk in side by side, I thought I was seeing things. But Su Jinyao's first sentence told me everything. This meeting wasn't about quarterly earnings. Ju-yan, she used my full name. The last time she'd said it like that was 3 years ago, when we signed our marriage license at the Civil Affairs Bureau. I set down my cup. "What is it?" She walked right up to me, her heels clicking sharply on the floor. Then she raised her hand. Smack. A slap landed hard on my left cheek. The whole conference room went dead silent. Qian Gudong dropped his pen. It clattered under the table and he stared for 3 full seconds without bending to pick it up. My face was turned to the side, my left ear ringing. It didn't hurt. Truly it didn't. But I put on my best heartbroken expression anyway. After all, I'd been waiting 3 months for that slap. Su Jinyo's eyes were red. I couldn't tell if it was real or an act. Her acting had definitely gotten better over these 3 years. "Ju-yan, give him the company." She nodded toward Cheng Yahui behind her. "You don't deserve it." Cheng Yahui stood there behind her, looking composed. His eyes carrying that faint "I hate this but I'm simply better than you" air. His suit was perfectly tailored, his hair immaculate. He carried himself like a walking self-help guru. I almost laughed out loud. Of the 11 executives in the room, not one spoke up. Some stared at their phones, some fixed their gazes on the ceiling, some suddenly developed a deep scholarly interest in the bot. Su Jinyao froze for a second. She'd clearly braced herself for a screaming match. Cheng Yahui behind her also blinked, apparently not expecting the script to go this smoothly. I walked to the other end of the conference table, picked up the equity transfer agreement legal had drawn up, of mineral water on the table. Su Jinyao froze for a second. She'd clearly braced herself for a screaming match. Cheng Yahui behind her also blinked, apparently not expecting the script to go this smoothly. I walked to the other end of the conference table, picked up the equity transfer agreement legal had drawn up, flipped to the last page, signed my name, stamped the seal, and pushed the company seal right in front of Cheng Yahui. The whole thing took less than 2 minutes. Qian Gudong finally bent to retrieve his pen. He looked at me with an expression so complicated you could have written an 800-word essay about it. He was a veteran head of finance. He knew exactly what those numbers meant, but he didn't dare say a word. Because Su Jinyao was Su Hongwan's daughter. Su Hongwan might have stepped down, but he still carried weight in the industry. I pushed the signed documents towards Su Jinyao. "Sign here." She picked up the pen, her hand trembling. Maybe from excitement, maybe from emotion. After all, she was finally about to unite the man she loved with the company. How romantic. I silently applauded her in my head. After signing, Su Jinyao looked at me, her lips moving like she wanted to say something else. I didn't give her the chance. "I'll have my things moved out. The house is yours. I'm taking the car. It's not worth much. Call it me taking advantage of you." I picked up the car keys off the table and walked to the door. "Oh, and one more thing." I glanced back at Cheng Yahui. He squared his shoulders and met my gaze. "Congratulations." With those 2 words I pulled open the door and walked out. The hallway was long. My leather shoes clicked on the marble floor, one steady step after another. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside and pressed B1. The second the doors slid shut, I smiled. Not a bitter smile, not a cold one. A genuine weight off my shoulders, deeply relieved smile. I covered my face and sank down into the corner of the elevator, my shoulders shaking. When I got to the underground garage, I got in the car and shut the door. Then I laughed for 30 full minutes. Laughed until I was out of breath. Laughed until my sides hurt. Laughed until tears streamed down onto the steering wheel. It's not that I'm a terrible person. It's just that you have no idea. That company had an 80 million yuan hole in its books. 80 million. Not 8,000. And I'd seen those audit reports the year before. I'd been dealing with those unpaid supplier bills since the year before that. All those half-dead projects, lost lawsuit payouts, back tax notices. They were all stacked up in my desk drawer. I'd sent Su Jinyao 3 emails, 2 WeChat messages, and had one 40-minute phone call trying to explain the company's financial situation to her. Her exact reply was, "Can you stop being so unambitious? Stop bothering me with company stuff all the time." Fine. I'd stop bothering her. Today she'd stolen the company right out from under me. Thank you, truly. I pulled my phone out of the glove compartment and texted Fan Zhao. Old Fan, you free tonight? My treat. Barbecue. 3 seconds later he replied, your treat? Did hell freeze over? What happened? Got divorced. What time? I'll go beat the crap out of that Su guy right now. No, I typed quickly. This is a celebration dinner. He went quiet for 10 seconds, then sent 2 words. You insane? I smiled and started the car. The phone rang. Su Hongguan. I glanced at the caller ID and hit reject. Today was the happiest day I'd had in 3 years. My father-in-law-x-father-in-law- could wait. Fan Shao's barbecue joint was tucked away in the south end of town. 20 tables, no air conditioning, just 3 industrial fans blowing away. Beer was 2.5 yuan a bottle. Skewers sat in plastic baskets on top of the freezers. Customers grabbed their own, and you paid by counting the sticks when you were done. When I got there, he'd already set up a table. 8 bottles of beer sat in front of him, 4 already opened, all for himself. Spit it out. What happened? He shoved an open bottle into my hand. I told him everything that had happened that day, leaving out the part where I'd laughed in my car for half an hour. When I finished, Fan Shao slammed his chopsticks down on the table. That Su Jinyao, slapping you in front of all those people? Who does she think she is? You worked yourself to the bone for that company for 3 years. Old Fan. Yeah? The company owes 80 million. Fan Zhao froze mid-motion. He still had a skewer halfway to his mouth. His jaw practically hit the table. He sat there rigid for 10 whole seconds without closing his mouth. Then he slowly lowered the skewer and set it down. How much? 80 million, maybe more. Meaning? Meaning Su Jinyao just forced me to hand the company over to her precious Cheng Yahui, and right now we're probably popping champagne celebrating that they just stole a shell company 80 million in the hole. Fan Shao opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again, closed it again. Then he grabbed his beer and chugged a huge mouthful, wiping his mouth hard with the back of his hand. You're telling me you're happy about this? I'm very happy. You're actually happy? I've never been happier in my life. Fan Shao stared at me for a good 10 seconds, then clapped me hard on the shoulder and burst out laughing. His laugh grew and grew, from a snicker to full-on cackling, until he was slumped over the table, pounding the plastic stool with his fist. The guy at the next table glanced over like he thought we were lunatics. Brilliant. Fan Zhao wiped tears from his eyes. You know what this is? This is them volunteering to catch the falling knife. On purpose. More or less. Does that Cheng Yahui know? More or less. Does that Cheng Yahui know? Nope. He stood behind Su Jinyao the whole time, chest puffed out, looking all determined. Had the exact same face as the winner of a startup competition walking up to get his trophy. Fan Shao laughed all over again. When he calmed down, something occurred to him. Wait, why didn't you just shut the company down? Or file for bankruptcy? I took a sip of beer. You think Su Hongguan would have let me? That company was his life's work. Besides, I was the legal representative. If we'd filed for bankruptcy liquidation, I'd have been the first one to go down. I spent 3 years trying to plug the holes. And just when I thought I was getting somewhere, I'd find another one underneath. And now the legal rep's changed? Yep. Chung Yahui signed the transfer agreement today. I had legal draw up the rep change paperwork a while ago. The second he signs, all the debt, all the lawsuits. I clinked my beer bottle against Fan Shao's. Have absolutely nothing to do with me. Fan Shao's expression slowly shifted from delight to something like awe. Gu Yin, were you just waiting for this day this whole time? No. I shook my head sincerely. I really did try to save that company. I just couldn't. Su Jinyo didn't believe me. Su Hongyuan thought I was crying wolf. I raised the financial alarm 3 times. 3 times I was ignored. So since you couldn't save it, you just waited for someone else to catch it. And they jumped right in on their own. She pushed him right into it with her own 2 hands. We both went quiet for 3 seconds. Then we both burst out laughing. That night, I drank 8 of the best beers of my life. When I left, Fan Zhao insisted on walking me out. He slung an arm around my shoulder, curious. What do you think Chung Yi will do first thing tomorrow, his first day on the job? I thought about it. Probably change the art in the office. Guy's huge on appearances. I heard he framed his master's diploma twice, one for the office, one for above his bed. And then he'll have my things cleared out and redo the CEO office. And then what? And then, I said it dryly, he'll open the financial reports in the desk drawer. Fan Shao shuddered. I almost feel bad for him. Don't feel bad for him. I clapped him on the shoulder. Feel bad for the 80 million. How did I find out about Chung Yihui's first day in charge? Xiaoji sent me a WeChat message. Xiaoji was my former secretary. The day before, Su Jinyao had told her she'd be Chung Yihui's assistant starting that day. Her exact message read, Mr. Zhu, the new boss told me to clear out all your things from the office. Should I mail you that cactus of yours? I texted back, throw it away. I've been watering that cactus for 3 years. It's only survived on sheer willpower. Just like the company. Xiaoji sent a bitter smile emoji. Then half an hour later another message came. Mr. Chung just finished the senior management meet and greet. Mr. Qian went over last quarter's finances. Now Mr. Chung's locked himself in his office. Doors bolted. I was at home eating instant noodles. Yes. Instant noodles. It's not because I was broke. It was just that for 3 years of marriage, Su Jinyao wouldn't let me eat them. Said the smell was too strong. Now that I was free, I'd bought every flavor off the supermarket shelves. Braised beef, pickled cabbage, Sichuan pepper beef, tomato and egg. Right now in front of me was the hot and sour flavor. 3 years without it. I slurped a big mouthful of noodles, so satisfied my toes curled. Absolute heaven. I slurped away as I texted Xiaoji back. Don't panic. Last quarter was just the appetizer. Xiaoji. What do you mean? Me. Wait till he sees last year's annual report. Xiaoji. Mr. Zhu, I'm kinda scared. Me, scared of what? You're just an employee. New boss or not, you still get paid the same. If they can't pay, that's not your problem. Xiaoji. That's not it. I'm scared, mister. Chung'll pass out and no one'll catch him. I almost choked on my noodles. 1 o'clock in the afternoon another message came in. Mr. Chung told Mr. Qian to pull all the financial records from the past 3 years. Mr. Qian spent 40 minutes on the phone, then had 3 boxes of files carried in. Mr. Chung locked his office door again. 2 o'clock. 3 suppliers showed up demanding payment. Mr. Chung went out to talk to them for 20 minutes. When he came back in, his glasses were all fogged up and his jaw was twitching. 3. Only 3. Before I left, there were actually 14 suppliers with unpaid bills. These 3 were the mildest ones. The other 11 were probably still on their way. I put down my phone and turned on the TV. I flipped through 3 channels and found a comedy. Laughter mixed with the smell of instant noodles. I'd never felt better. At 6 in the evening, Su Jinyao called. I hesitated for a second. Not about whether to answer. About what tone to use. In the end I decided don't answer. After I hung up she called twice more. The third time I picked up. Hello? Ju Yan, explain to me, how does the company owe Tiante Building Materials 1.2 million? Her voice went up an octave, so shrill I held the phone 2 inches away from my ear. I'd gotten sick of that tone 3 years ago. That's the final payment for the construction project last October. I told you about it. You were on vacation in Sanya. Your exact words were, "Stop bothering me with trivial stuff." There was a 2-second silence on the other end. Then why didn't you handle it? I did handle it. I drew up a payment plan, needed your signature for approval. But you and Chung Yahui went to a concert that day and never came back to the office. I reminded you twice after that. Never heard back. More silence. Longer this time. What about the rest? Qiang Gudong said there's a whole pile of. I told you about all of it. Emails, WeChat, in person 7 times total, 3 different ways. You never replied once. You, Sujin Yao, you're a shareholder of the company now. These are problems for you and Mr. Chung to worry about. I'm just your ex-husband who walked away with nothing. I can't help.
You.
Oh, and by the way, a few more suppliers might show up tomorrow. Be nice to them. Don't be like me. I was too nice back in the day and they hounded me non-stop. I hung up. Then I made myself a cup of tea. Longjing green tea. When Sujin Yao was home, she only drank coffee. Said tea tasted too bland. Bland? I took a sip. Fresh, fragrant, rich. Not bland at all. Day 3 of Chung Yihui's tenure. I knew every detail because Xiaoji had gotten into the habit of updating me in real time. I told her she didn't have to, that I didn't work there anymore. She said, Mr. Gu, this isn't a work report. I'm telling you jokes, fair enough. They were pretty good jokes. The joke for day 3 went like this. Chung Yahui hired an audit firm to do a full review. That was actually the right call. If he'd done it on day 1, he might have had time to turn things around. But he spent the first 2 days busy with 3 things. First, he replaced all the soft furnishings in the office. Second, he held an all-hands meeting and gave a 40-minute inaugural speech titled, Looking to the Future. Third, he took Sujin Yao out to a 3 Michelin star restaurant as the new CEO, and posted about it on Moments with the caption, A New Beginning. Those 3 things took him 2 whole days. The auditors didn't come in until day 3. On day 4, the lead auditor's face per Xiaoji's description looked like he'd eaten a rotten sentry egg. Preliminary finding. The company's financial problems were way worse than the books showed. They were still tallying the exact numbers. But just the confirmed accounts payable alone had made the lead auditor run to the bathroom to splash cold water on his face twice. I was playing ranked at home when I read the message. It was my promotion series, 5 wins in a row, high stakes. I was in the middle of a team fight, glanced at my phone and my hand shook. Got one shot by the enemy team. Not because I was scared. Because I was trying so hard not to laugh. My teammate yelled a curse in Chinese. I typed quietly, Sorry, just got some good news. Couldn't help it. What kind of good news makes you int feed? My ex-wife's new boyfriend took over my mess of a company. My teammate went quiet for 3 seconds. Dude, that's not good news. Huh? That's the best news ever. Keep playing. I'll carry this round. I won that game. Maybe it was just in my head, but I played like a pro. 3 o'clock in the afternoon I went grocery shopping. Actual grocery shopping. For 3 years of marriage I'd always been the one who cooked. Sujin Yao never set foot in the kitchen, couldn't even use a microwave. But she barely touched anything I made. Said it was too greasy, too salty, too much MSG, unhealthy. Now the kitchen was all mine. I bought a sea bass, planning to steam it. My mom's recipe, ginger shreds on the bottom, scallion shreds on top, steam for 8 minutes. Drizzle with hot oil when it's done. I was picking out scallions at the supermarket when I ran into Sujinyo's best friend Chun Shi. The second Chun Shi saw me, her expression shifted instantly. Brows furrowed slightly, lips pressed into a line, eyes full of I feel your pain. Gyu, Yen? Are you okay? Her voice was so soft, every word careful, like she was afraid she'd shatter my fragile soul. I was holding a fish in one hand, and my cart had a bag of rice, 2 bottles of soy sauce, and a pack of Sichuan peppercorns. I'm fine. I heard about you and Jinyao. Oh, don't be too upset. You're a man. Pick yourself up. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Thanks. I nodded and went back to picking scallions. Chun-Shi looked at my cart, and her expression grew even more complicated. She was probably thinking, former CEO, reduced to grocery shopping and cooking for himself. All alone, just a fish and a bag of rice. How tragic. What I was actually thinking, this is a good scallion. Nice thick white part. Perfect for steamed fish. If you need anything, just let me know. Chun-Shi patted my arm. Okay, thanks, Sister Chun. After she left, I stood there for 5 seconds. I looked down at myself. T-shirt, shorts, flip-flops. Pushing a cart, holding a fish. Yeah, I probably looked like a middle-aged guy whose life had fallen apart. But I was only 31, and I'd never been happier. The steamed sea bass turned out perfect that night. I took a photo and posted it on Moments with the caption, "Dinner for one. Freedom tastes best." Fan Zhao was the first to like it. His comment read, "Ex-wife signed off on all the shares, right? Legally ironclad?" I replied, "Relax. Tighter than the skewers at your barbecue joint." Sujinyo's Moments was dead quiet. Under that post of Chung Yihui's from 2 days ago, the new beginning one, a stranger had commented, "Got a new boyfriend?" She never replied. While I was cleaning up the kitchen after dinner, my phone rang again. An unknown number. I picked up. "Is this Mr. Zhu? This is Manager Zheng from Xinyuan Steel. The final payment for last year's steel order, 3 million. Hello, Manager Zheng. Sorry, I'm no longer with the company. The legal reps changed now. Last name Chung. More capable than me, studied abroad." Huh. There's a new person? Yup. You can reach out to him. Then. What's his number? I scrolled through my contacts and sent her Chung Yihui's number. Good luck with the chat. I hung up, washed the last bowl, and set it in the dish rack. The kitchen light glinted off the tiles. Quiet, clean, just me. I took a deep breath and smiled. This kind of life? Perfect. Day 5 of Chung Yihui's tenure. Xiaoji's updates. Had officially gone from jokes to a full-blown soap opera. 9 a.m. Mr. Zhu, the people from Wan Building Materials are here. 6 of them. 2 are bald. Big arms. Even bigger voices. How much do they owe? 4.8 million. Construction payment. From last September. Yeah, I remember that one. We talked about a payment plan back then, but the cash flow dried up and it never went through. Mr. Cheng went out to talk to them. Got yelled at for 20 minutes. When he came back in, his tie was askew and his second shirt button popped off. I was on the balcony watering plants. Yeah, I had a few pothos plants. Used to keep them at the office, brought them home when I moved out. Su Jinyao stole the whole company. Surely she wouldn't want a few pothos plants too. I was watering the third one, and almost poured it on my own foot. Held it together. 11 a.m. Another group showed up. Xinyuan Steel, 3 million. Mr. Keon went out to handle them. Held them off for half an hour. When he came back, his forehead was dripping with sweat and his shirt collar was soaked through. 2 p.m. The logistics company showed up. 2 million. They didn't make a scene this time. Left with one line. Settle it in 3 days, or see you in court. 4 p.m. Mr. Chung smashed a mug in his office. The one you used to use. The one that says the boss is always right. That mug was a gift from Fan Zhao. He gave it to me as a joke back then. Never thought it'd end up shattered in someone else's hands. Guess it went out with a bang at least. 6 p.m. Su Jinyao showed up. Not to see me, she went to the company. Xiaoji said she stayed in Chung Yihui's office for 2 hours. Both of them looked terrible when they came out. First time Chung Yihui didn't walk her to the elevator. I stared at the stream of messages on my phone and took a quiet sip of chrysanthemum goji berry tea. To be honest, I felt a tiny, no, not guilty, curious. I just wondered how was he planning to fill that 100 million hole. Wait, no, 80 million for now. He's supposed to be this brilliant returnee finance whiz after all. Surely he's got some tricks up his sleeve. 8 p.m. The phone rang again. This time it wasn't Su Jinyao. It was Su Hongguan. The old man's voice came through the receiver, steady in that paternal authoritative way. Xiao Ji. 3 years, and he'd always called me Xiao Ji Yu. Never once son-in-law. Not once. Uncle Su, what can I do for you? Heard the company's having some difficulties. Difficulties. An 80 million yuan black hole, summed up in one word. Classic old-school entrepreneur. Yeah, there are some issues. Why didn't you mention this when you were running the company? That question almost made me laugh out loud. I bit my lip and took 3 deep breaths. Uncle, I did mention it. Last June I sent you a financial analysis report. 17 pages, color printed, with all kinds of visual charts, pie charts, bar graphs, the works. Your exact reply was, young people always blow problems out of proportion. The company's been running for 20 years. Nothing serious will happen. There was a long silence on the other end. Long enough that I thought the call had dropped. Uncle, is there anything else? I need to go heat up my dinner. No. I hung up, walked into the kitchen, and turned on the microwave. Ding. I heated up the leftover steamed sea bass from yesterday. The fish was warm again. And so was my life. Day 10 of Cheng Yahui's tenure. Things spiraled out of control. Not a little out of control. The kind where a dam bursts all at once with a huge crash. The final audit report came out. Total liabilities weren't 80 million. They were 120 million. The extra 40 million came from a few off-the-books accounts. Leftover mess from Su Hongguan's generation, hidden in subsidiaries of subsidiaries, layer upon layer. The accountants had covered it up for 15 years, until the full audit finally dragged it into the light. I found out about it from Xiaoji too. To be honest, when I saw that number, I froze for a second too. I knew about the 80 million, but 120 million? Whoa! The company was even more of a wreck than I thought. Good thing I got out when I did. Xiaoji described Cheng Yihui's reaction when he saw the number. He sat completely still in his office for 40 whole minutes. Didn't say a word. Coffee spilled from his thermos all over the reports, and he didn't even wipe it up. Just stared straight up at the ceiling, not moving. Then he called Su Jinyao. Xiaoji caught snippets of it. Jinyao, this company. It's not what you told me. What? No, that's not what I meant. Just listen to me calmly, Jinyao. Jinyao? The call went dead. Su Jinyao hung up on him. I don't know why she hung up. Maybe she panicked. Maybe she didn't want to hear it. Maybe she finally realized what she'd stolen from me wasn't a gold mine. Was a ticking time bomb. And she'd handed the fuse straight to Cheng Yahui. Day 11. I got a lawyer's letter. It wasn't suing me exactly. Cheng Yahui had his lawyer send it, worded very delicately. In light of suspected insufficient information disclosure during the equity transfer, our party reserves the right to pursue relevant legal liability. In plain English, you didn't tell me how much debt this company had. You set me up. I read the letter, smiled and shook my head. Then I walked to my study and pulled a folder out of a drawer. Inside, neatly organized, 3 printed emails with Su Jinyo's read receipts attached. 2 WeChat chat screenshots, with timestamps for delivery and when they were read. A burned CD of a 40-minute phone call, with a summary for every minute marked out. And 3 written financial warning reports, all signed in Su Jinyo's own handwriting. That's right. She'd signed them. Every single one. She just tossed them in a drawer after signing and never looked at them again. I took a photo and sent it to my lawyer friend. Take a look for me. Is this evidence enough? He replied 3 minutes later, more than enough. Way more. If he dares sue you, you can countersue for malicious prosecution. And I've seen your equity transfer agreement. Article 14 says it clear as day. The transferee confirms full understanding of the target company's operating status and voluntarily assumes all related risks. He signed it himself. I put the lawyer's letter back in the folder. When we were drafting the agreement, legal asked if I wanted to add that clause. I said yes. Definitely yes. Legal asked again. Won't they read the contract carefully? I said, she doesn't even read financial reports. You think she read the contract? Sure enough, she didn't. That night, I broke open a bottle of red wine. Su Jinyao had kept it in the wine cabinet, said Chung Yahui brought it back from France, and she'd never dared open it. I'd tossed it in a box on my way out. Carrie Wade's Stilephite. Nothing too fancy price-wise. But drinking it right then? It tasted sweeter than anything. Day 15 of Chung Yihui's tenure. He tried to quit, but he couldn't. The legal representative change was already finalized. He was now the company's legal rep and controlling shareholder. All the debt, the lawsuits, the back tax demands all under his name. Wanted to walk away? The law wouldn't let him. Not unless someone else was willing to take it off his hands. But there aren't many people in the world dumber than him. Before Xiaoji quit, she posted one last update. Not to me, she posted it in her high school class group chat. The screenshot got passed around later. Guys, daily update: our new CEO has officially evolved from bright-eyed and ambitious to dead inside. Today in the meeting he stared at the ceiling for 8 minutes without saying a word. Walked into the wrong room after the meeting, ended up in the janitor's closet, and squatted next to the mop bucket zoning out for 5 minutes before he came out. The replies were all the same: new chapter, more, better than any web novel. Fan Xiao sent me the screenshot while I was boiling noodles. Homemade hand-pulled noodles, with a poached egg and 2 slices of braised beef. Quality of life was steadily going up. Your former secretary's become an internet writer. Fan Xiao sent, followed by 10 crying laughing emojis. She worked for me for 3 years. Picked up some writing skills. You think all 3 years of your updates add up to half of what she's posted in 2 weeks? Shut up! Chung Yahui tried to give the shares back to Su Jinyao. She refused. Her reason: this is my dad's company. I can't let it fall apart on my watch. Figure it out. Aren't you supposed to be this brilliant returnee finance whiz? Rumor has it Chung Yahui shot back. I studied financial theory, not fire safety. Su Jinyao said, didn't you say give you a platform and you'd build something great? It has to be a normal platform, not a 120 million sinkhole. Can't you just think of something? Every idea I have combined wouldn't even cover the interest on this hole. Xiaoji overheard snippets of that argument before she left. The original lines probably weren't this polite. Heard there was a lot of swearing and yelling in between. Su Jinyao stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Chung Yahui sat alone in the office until midnight. Day 17. Su Hongwan came to see me. He stood at my front door, alone. No driver, no assistant, no daughter with him. When I opened the door and saw him, I was in slippers and a cheap t-shirt I'd bought off a street stall. He looked me up and down. 3 years ago, when he married his daughter off to me, I was in a sharp suit, full head of hair, bright and put together. Now I was in a tank top and shorts, but I looked healthier, happier. The confusion in his eyes was impossible to miss. Uncle, come in, have a seat. No time, he waved a hand. Just one question. Go ahead. You knew the company couldn't be saved a long time ago, didn't you? Yeah. Why didn't you leave sooner? I looked him in the eye. When you handed the company over to me, I promised I'd do my best. And I did for 3 years. But the hole's too big. I can't fill it on my own. I told Jinyao 7 times, she didn't believe me. Told you once, you didn't believe me either. So you just waited? I didn't wait. I tried taking out loans to keep things afloat, cutting unprofitable projects, negotiating payment plans with every supplier one by one. But the root problem can't be fixed. The company's profits can't cover all the old debt. And I don't have a few $100 million of my own to bail it out. A muscle in Su Hongwan's cheek twitched. That day Jinyao made you sign the transfer agreement. She brought it up. Not me. It was all her idea, start to finish. The only thing I did was have legal add 1 clause to the agreement. The transferee confirms full understanding of the target company's operating status. The old man closed his eyes for a second. You clever kid. Uncle, I wasn't scheming against anyone. I just couldn't carry it anymore. If she wanted to take it, fine. But she should have looked at the financials first. This isn't my fault. Su Hongwan stood in the doorway for a long time. The evening wind blew, stirring a few strands of his white hair. Finally he asked, "Is there any way to save the company?" I thought about it for a second. Bankruptcy liquidation is the cleanest way out. Mr. Chung is the legal representative now. He can initiate the proceedings. But sooner is better than later. Drag it out, and the interest and penalties will only keep piling up. What about Jinyao and Chung Yuhui? That's their problem now. My tone was flat. Uncle, it's not that I'm cruel. I just can't help. And I shouldn't either. When Su Hongwan turned to leave, his back looked a little more hunched than when he'd arrived. I closed the door. I stood in the entryway for a moment. Then I walked to the kitchen and grabbed a yogurt from the fridge. Strawberry flavor. Limited edition. I'd waited in line for 10 minutes that afternoon to get it. I sat down on the sofa, twisted off the cap, and ate it slowly, spoonful by spoonful. I idly checked my phone. A friend who worked in F&B supply chain texted me. He was putting together a team, needed a partner with management experience, and asked if I'd be interested. I set the yogurt down and read through the project materials carefully. Solid direction. Young team. Best of all, the company's books were clean. Not a single cent of hidden debt. I texted back 2 words, "Let's talk." Day 21 of Chung Yuhui's tenure. The company officially entered bankruptcy liquidation proceedings. The creditors' meeting lasted all day. 14 suppliers, 3 banks, 2 individual creditors, plus people from the tax bureau. Chung Yuhui said nothing the entire time, according to Xiaoji's final work update before she quit. After Mr. Chung signed the last document, the pen slipped from his hand onto the desk. He watched it roll to the edge, fall to the floor, and bounce twice. He didn't pick it up. Su Jinyao didn't show up. She never appeared at the creditors' meeting at all. Her last moment's post was from 20 days earlier. The one Chung Yuhui had posted, a new beginning. A new comment had popped up recently from an unknown ID. Great beginning, huh? It had 47 likes. It wasn't me, really. I'd been keeping busy lately. 2 interviews with the new company, we aligned on direction, and I finished the onboarding paperwork. Starting from scratch, as a partner-based salary plus profit share. It wasn't a lot, but it felt solid. On my first day, Fan Xiao treated me to drinks at his barbecue stall. Same old spot. Beer was still 2.5 yuan a bottle. Skewers were still self-serve. Pay by the stick when you're done. Heard Chung Yuhui left? Fan Xiao asked, flipping skewers over the grill. Left. After the liquidation, there's still a ton of paperwork tied to the legal rep. Heard he already listed his place in Shanghai for sale. Needs the cash to cover his personal liability for the debts. Serves him right. Jumped in to catch a falling knife without thinking. It's not all his fault. He really had no idea how bad things were at the company. Then who's to blame? Su Jinyao? I didn't say anything. Fan Xiao took a bite of a skewer and didn't press it. All right, enough about that. Is the new job any good? Pretty solid. Just have to start over from the bottom. Starting over's nothing. You're 31, not 51. Just remember this time, don't partner with people who don't read the financials. Not in business, not in life. I laughed and kicked his stool lightly. A month later, the new company was slowly finding its footing. One afternoon I went out for lunch and ran into Su Jinyao outside a cafe in the mall. She'd changed a lot. She'd lost weight. Her makeup wasn't flawless anymore. The designer bags she used to carry were gone, replaced by a plain canvas tote. She saw me too. We stared at each other for about 3 seconds by the cafe door. She spoke first. Gu Yan. Yeah. Are you doing okay? Pretty good. You? She tugged at the corner of her mouth. It was a weak smile, her lips trembling before she managed to hold it. The company. It was my fault. I put my hands in my pockets and said nothing. I should have listened to you. All those reports, all those emails. I didn't read a single one. Chung Yuhui left. Said I tricked him. You didn't trick him. You had no idea how deep the mess went either. Her shoulders shook when I said that. Her eyes welled up. I used to feel bad when she cried. First year of marriage, she cried once after a bad day at work, and I held her and comforted her for an hour. Now looking at her teary eyes, I felt nothing. Not hate, not coldness. It was just over. Done. Su Jinyao. Don't dwell on it. Go back to work, live your life. Your dad's getting old. Spend more time with him. She froze for a second. Then she nodded. I turned and walked away. Didn't look back. When I stepped out of the mall, the sun hit my face, warm and soft. My phone buzzed. Text from Fan Zhao. You coming tonight? Got a great batch of beef in. Saved 2 jin for us. If you don't show, I'm grilling it all myself. I texted back, coming. My treat tonight. Your treat? Did hell freeze over again? Last time was my treat too. Upgrade your goldfish memory, will you? Last time. That was the day your ex took that 8 million sinkhole off your hands. What's the occasion this time? I smiled at the screen. Typed a few words. No occasion. The weather's just nice today. I walked to the parking lot, got in the car, put the key in the ignition, and started it up. My face stared back at me in the rearview mirror. I looked good. My hair even looked a little thicker than last month. An old song played on the radio. I hummed along for a bit and stepped on the gas. The car pulled out of the lot and merged into traffic. Sunlight streamed through the windshield, warm and golden. My life? It was just getting started. This story reveals the cost of blind impulse in relationships and careers. Obsessed with her first love, the heroine slapped her husband in public and forced him to hand over a heavily indebted company, ignoring his repeated warnings about financial crises. The hero had long found out the huge debts and completed the clauses of the transfer agreement in advance before letting go calmly. After taking over, the first love faced massive deficits, countless creditors and lawsuits, and the two fell out completely, leading to the company's bankruptcy liquidation. The heroine ruined her marriage and family business out of obsession, proving that blind prejudice and disregard for reality only bring bitter consequences. We should why rational in life and work, make decisions after seeing the truth clearly, and never be carried away by subjective favor, for reckless impulses will ruin us in the end.